Did you see that Trump speech that probably wasn't there so much on the mainstream media, but he published it on his whatever his own
Yeah, a
channels.
relative sent me the link to it and was interesting. I went on YouTube to try and find it, or the relative sent me something and said there's the speech on now, and I went on YouTube to find it. I couldn't find it on YouTube, and I couldn't find it
The
in any.
Yeah, so 45 minutes there. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I kind of skimmed through it, and basically for 45 minutes, he goes on to explain the efforts that he and his team are doing to prove voter fraud. Now, again, quick disclaimer. I'm not pushing for one side or another side. I'm not even interested in in whether there was voter fraud or not. That's not what I'm trying to point out at all. What I am trying to point out is that half the country, let's say, half the population who is listening to this story, uh, they have a certain picture of reality that is diametrically opposed to the other half that have a different story. And at the same time, right now, these people are occupying the same land and coexisting for a while. You know
Chris,
what
if
I
you can
mean? Like,
find some footage from what's going on in Paris. So listen, there was some cops beat up a black music producer, I think is what the straw was that broke the camel's back,
mhm,
that led to the latest riot in Paris.
this is bad
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
people
this is
now
like
this is
today. This is today. Yeah.
this is yesterday, I think. So this
Okay.
is basically, coming to a city near you.
Have we ever before been in such a situation where people are not just disagreeing or resentful towards each other, or there's bad blood, but have we ever been in a situation like this where people have a different picture of what is actually happening, to the point that they don't even live in the same reality? You know what I mean? There's half of the population are sure that Biden won, Biden's the president. That's what's happening. That's it's done. And then another half of the population is certain that there was voter fraud and that this is going to be proven, and so on. Like the discrepancy, the dissonance that exists here is just at such a scale.
You
This
can finally, I didn't really understand the whole that famous Babylon story.
Yeah, the
Uh,
Babylon story is super relevant. The Babylon story is about how people stopped understanding each other. That's exactly relevant to what is happening right now, especially in the US, but I think in general, in all the Western countries, what we're seeing right now with this extremely intensifying social polarization, it's clear that America is deeply polarized. No election can overcome that. Yeah. So this is happening in my country. This is happening in your country. This is happening in European countries very, very strongly. And so we know where that leads. We know where that leads. That leads to violence. There's no other way. That leads to violence. If you don't have a way for people to somehow, in some way, um, find a common story, a common picture, agree on a certain kind of a picture of reality, that maybe we don't have to be similar. Maybe we can still be who we are and be different, but we live in a certain bigger kind of plan here. And that's what's missing. And I'm going to jump the gun here quickly and just say that the only thing, it's like this polarization is intensifying and intensifying and intensifying. People are becoming further and further apart, and the only thing that can be a bridge or an umbrella or a blanket above everyone that covers everyone is nature. That's the one thing that we can't
if you leave a piece of meat, I always thought this was fascinating. If you leave a piece of meat out on the counter, maggots will start to eat it. Now, if the meat is either refrigerated or the meat is cooked, there's no maggots. But nature already prepared a way that the meat won't just sit there on the counter for 50 years. If the meat is not used, nature then automatically, it's a dynamic system, it will just start converting it into the next thing, right? So
Right.
there's nothing in nature that is bad. Meaning, of course, there's things in nature that are bad, but really, there's nothing in nature that is bad. So now that we're not living as animals, that we're living as humans, and we're going through this transition towards peace on earth, towards unity between all humanity. In order to get to unity between all of humanity, we need to have these big plus and minus forces.